Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 8 of Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew. My name is Jordon Lawrenz, and we've made it to episode 8 off the NFL draft. We're moving forward here on Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew, and what we certainly can't move forward without my co-host. I mean, I can do UFC recaps by myself, but we got a lot to discuss this week, and that's why I'm bringing in the one and only Drew Skyberg. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Jordan. I appreciate the introduction. Very excited to talk some NFL news, some MLB news. We even got some Lincoln we're going to talk about, sadly, but we're talking Lincoln.
Hey,
Let's
there's some
go.
good stuff to talk for Lincoln this week. We'll get into it eventually, but we've got good news coming out of that Chips football game. Obviously, we know football relates to the summer sports spectacular. That we're just going to leave it at that. We're getting closer and closer before we can finally reveal the full details. And don't think we don't have it planned out. We know exactly what we're doing for the summer sports spectacular. So that thing's all planned out and we're ready to get to summer and get things going. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube and on Apple Podcast. Leave a 5-star review. I think we're at 15 subscribers on YouTube and 15 Apple Podcast reviews. I think they're even. So that's
Yes,
awesome.
sir.
But we know we can get some more. We know you guys are going to support us well, and please do so. Really means a lot. We're trying to get this as big as possible, as I say every week. And well, speaking of big, May, Drew, I mean, we got kind of a big month planned ahead of us. We're going to leave it at this, but potentially 2 interviews in the month of May. I know we're excited, but Drew, I think the people should be excited as well. We got some good stuff coming for May.
Yeah, we have some great interviews coming up. We're going to be talking some Bucks. We got another guy coming. Maybe we're going to leave it at that. A little
Mm-hmm.
surprise for you guys. Maybe next week. We'll see. But it's going to be a great show. And I'm looking forward to the month of May because, like, once we get through May, it sounds like the summer sports spectacular is a go, and that's going to be
Basically,
awesome.
we don't have a set date, but I mean, and we're getting there. So we think we know what we're doing once we get all that. But yeah, we don't want to confirm an interview for next week, but it's highly likely. Highly likely. So put it on your calendar and get things going. It's time for our stat of the week. Have you gotten any feedback on this segment? It's still new, so I don't know what the people are thinking so far.
I've heard a few great things. I mean, our Corbin Burns fans, like
Mm-hmm.
ourselves, we like the Corbin Burns stats, but like I don't know, I think it's a good segment that we incorporated to the show. I like the
This is
Degrom stat last week too, but what's the stat
yeah.
of the week this week?
Yeah, this week is the complete opposite because it's not a good stat of the week to have. This is woo, Zach Godley becomes only the second pitcher in the modern era to throw 5 or more walks, hit a batter, throw 2 wild pitches, commit a balk, and commit a defensive error all in the same game. Let me say that again. Only the second pitcher in modern era to throw 5 or more walks, hit a batter, throw 2 wild pitches, commit a balk, and commit a defensive error all in the same game. Didn't we win this game too?
I don't think we did, Jordan. This
Okay,
was
good.
this was game 3 of the series. I believe we lost, and
Oh, this was,
I
yeah,
just
this was the Marlins.
I just want to point out something. I think Zach Godley did a great job of filling out the stat sheet. Maybe not in the best way, but hey, he logged some stats in that game. Let me tell you, when you can
uh,
accumulate all that in one
sometimes,
game.
yeah, sometimes if you just fill up the stats, that's all that really matters, right? They don't always have to be good stats. I mean, you can tell mom you got in the scorebook, but not for all the right reasons. We'll talk more Brewers coming up here in a minute. But first, it's time for On This Day. We've got a interesting one. It kind of goes all over the place this week with some of the things included, but let's get right to it. Eight. Oh, the date is April 3rd, not April 8th or May 3rd. Oh boy, we're stuttering the date. May 3rd here on this day in 1910. The Intercollegiate Athletic Association of the United States is renamed the National Collegiate Athletic Association. So that's the NCAA. In 1910 is when they got that name. On this day in 1936, New York Yankee Joe DiMaggio makes his major league debut and gets 3 hits. So good for that man, a legend of the sport. On this day in 1970, the 24th NBA championship as the New York Knicks beat the Lakers 4-3. It's good to see the Knicks doing well back in 1970s. I thought this next one is very interesting. On this day in 1986, New York Yankee Don Mattingly is the 6th person to hit 3 sac flies in a game. That's like, whoa. Like, you don't get many chances to hit a sac fly. That man did 3 of them in the same game.
Wow.
On this day in 2000, you want to talk about an interesting one. The sport of geocaching begins with the first catch placed in the coordinates from a GPS posted on Usenet. I don't know what that last part means, but geocaching, it's a thing.
It is
On
a
this day, go for
I'm
it.
just gonna talk about some geocaching here, Jordan. Have you ever done
Yes.
geocaching before?
No, I have not. I was going to ask you, and I certainly have not.
I I've geocached a couple of times. I'm thinking maybe we get our podcast group, maybe we get our fan base, we meet up at a geocache thing. We do a little geocaching,
Let's do
make a
it.
fan meetup. Let's
Live
do it.
podcast after. Sign some autographs. I'm down. Take some pictures. How much we charging?
We'll charge
50 bucks.
yeah, 50 sounds good.
Perfect. You get to geocache with us and you get a picture and an autograph. What a steal. On this day in 2018, Atlanta Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan becomes NFL's first $30 million per year player after agreeing to a $150 million contract extension. Big numbers for Matt Ryan. And with the draft here, we're going to lead right into it because we got something to talk about with Matt Ryan. Kyle Pitts gets drafted to the Falcons, but we got to start at number one. Trevor Lawrence, of course, is the first draft pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. We all knew it was coming. I hate the draft, how you wait 30 minutes for the first pick to be announced. I don't understand this at all. The Jaguars have months that they know they're going to get to pick. So then they come out, Roger Goodell just sits there and talks. Then they put 10 minutes on the clock, and then it takes like 6 minutes until the pick is in. Why do they do this?
I don't get it either. And we knew Zach Wilson was going second. We knew Trevor Lawrence was going first. It was kind of like the first two picks were pointless, but then the third pick, that's when it starts getting crazy when you see Trey Lance out of North Dakota State get drafted over Mac Jones, and that was incredible.
This was surprising. Trey Lance goes number 3. I think this man's going to be a star. I think he's got big potential. Obviously, he probably won't be playing next year, but it's just one of those things. You get that learning experience. You get to figure out what exactly is going on. And Trey Lance from North Dakota State is the one who gets drafted to the 49ers. And then, like I said, Kyle Pitts goes number 4, tight end pick number 4 in the draft. That's crazy. I know they were saying during the draft that Matt Ryan has some support when they draft him a tight end. And they talked about how Aaron Rodgers doesn't get that. So following that, Bengals get Jamar Chase, wide receiver, and then Waddle goes after that. Anyone else you want to talk about in the top 10 or want to get to their Packers picks so far?
Well, I think we should talk Packers right away because we know that third pick, there was a chance that was going to Green Bay with the whole Aaron Rodgers drama that's going on right now, which I don't know where you stand on that, Jordan.
No, we'll talk about that in a minute.
All right. But other than that, I don't really have any more things I want to talk about in the first 10 picks.
I don't either. It was basically all simple. We went 5 of 10 on our DraftKings pool, by the way. So for those of you that were rooting for us, we didn't do too hot. 5 out of 10, didn't win any money on that. Sorry to say. I'm sure there was plenty of people who went 10 of 10, either by guessing or somehow being experts. But once we get to the Packers round 3 pick, then we can get into this Aaron Rodgers drama. But first, round 1, Green Bay, 29th overall pick. They take Eric Stokes, according to USA Today. Let me read their description of here. No receiver here for Aaron Rodgers, who gets to further stew in his apparent unhappiness. Stokes blazed a 4.25 40 at his pro day, and despite some raw amounts to his game, might as soon be gunning for Kevin King's job after the veteran's disastrous performance in the NFC Championship game. I really like that description because we're Packer fans, so we know exactly what's going on. I think they nailed it. This is a great pick. Eric Stokes, first round.
Yeah, I'm liking Eric Stokes out of Georgia. 6'1", 190, 194 pounds. And I think he's going to complement Jair Alexander well. And I like what they said where, hey, he could take Kevin King's spot because as we know, Kevin King's dreadful NFC Championship game performance. Your famous tweet sums that game up.
Oh, and wait. I'm famous on Instagram now. 1,600 likes on my comment. Just want to throw that out there.
Wow, what a flex by Jordon Lawrenz. But the guy I picked last week, who I said the Packers should draft, Zaven Collins from Tulsa, he went 16th. So, and a lot of boards had him going. They had him going to the Packers. They had him late first round. He went 16th. So that just shows you how mock drafts and how you can be so wrong because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and Rashad Bateman went 2 picks before the Packers. I know that's someone they kind of had their eye on for receiver if he was still there. He wasn't. Bateman goes to the Ravens. So that's the first pick, Eric Stokes. Second pick, Josh Myers, a center. Again, I think they nailed this. They're getting Corey Linsley's replacement, basically. Josh Myers from Ohio State. He's a Buckeye. He's playing good competition. Thoughts on the center going 62nd in the draft to the Packers?
I'm liking it. Like you said, we need a guy to replace Lindsley after goes to the Chargers. He's got a nice frame, 6'5", 310, very nice, and I think he's gonna really fit well there. I think he's gonna be the starting center
I think
come
so.
next year.
I
I
don't
think
think
he's
that's
got a
far
shot.
fetched. Yeah, I
No,
think that definitely going to happen. And why not, right? If you're picking a center in the second round, I feel like you got to have some high praise and some high hopes for him. So here's where things got interesting. Do you watch the second or third round or anything like that? Because I only watched the day one and then I kind of just tune out.
I only watched day one, but I did see some things day two that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah. So for the Packers' third round, they traded their pick. They moved up. So the Packers go from 92 to 85, and all they had to do was give up a fourth rounder. I mean, they had two fourths, two fifths, two sixths. So one fourth rounder, not the biggest deal. They get the trade with the Titans. So they moved up from 92 to 85. And who do they pick? Wide receiver Amari Rodgers, perhaps in an olive branch move. Green Bay takes Lawrence's slot guy from Clemson, setting up a potential Rodgers to Rodgers connection. I thought that was really funny from USA Today. And I saw a stat. He's like the fourth highest rated receiver the Packers have picked in the Aaron Rodgers era. That blows my mind. But moving up to take Amari Rodgers, Rodgers to Rodgers, if we can get that going, that's something really good this season.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that was a great pick. I really like these first three picks, and we'll talk about their fourth pick too. But like so far, this draft that we've mentioned, that's an AA plus for me. That's incredible.
I was going to ask your rating because I thought for sure A plus. I mean, they kind of nailed all the spots they needed. First of all, like we talked about last week, pleasing the new defensive coordinator, getting someone for defense, and basically King's replacement. Then you get Corey Linsley's replacement with the center. So right there, you've kind of nailed those two, and then you trade up to get a third round receiver. Nothing wrong with that. They weren't going to trade up in the first round. I mean, there's basically no chance they did, and if they did, they might not even have gotten Bateman. It was still all up in the air, but obviously knew they weren't taking a wide receiver in round number one. So let's talk before we get to the fourth round, the Aaron Rodgers dilemma, because this everybody has been talking about for the past week, basically at this point, and it's a little scary. Is it one of those situations where Rodgers is just saying this and then he's going to retire, or is it where he's like actually going to be unhappy, and he's going to affect how they play if he stays around? Like, are they going to play two games and they realize Rodgers is just terrible and they need to let him go because he's just not trying? I don't know what's going to happen here, but I'm scared.
Yeah. One thing that General Manager Brian Gutekunst said at the draft, we're not going to trade Aaron. So that tells me, I mean, if he's going to stick to his word, if they don't trade him, like you said, hey, what's going to happen? What's going to happen here? Because I did see rumors he was going to threaten to retire, which I think would be outlandish, but it's certainly possible at this point if he's
And if he
truly
did,
not happy.
yeah, if he did retire, he would come back in a few years. He would be like, my career's not done. I'm ending it on my terms. Because if he retired right now, that would just be a selfish, stupid move on his behalf. But it's Aaron Rodgers, honestly. So you never know. He's kind of full of himself sometimes, even though he's such a great leader on the field. It's all up in the air at this point. Hopefully, we get some more updates soon as to what's happening. But it's one of those things, too, where of course the office is going to say, we're not trading him. We're working on things. Of course, they're going to say that. They're not going to say that things aren't going well. Rodgers has been the one telling some of his teammates that he's on his way out. So I don't know what he thinks is going to happen. I mean, he's still got that massive contract. He's going to be losing a lot of money if he does get traded. It's all up in the air at this point. That's all we can really say. So round four, the last one we're going to talk about, Royce Newman, offensive tackle from Ole Miss. Drew, what do you got to add about Mr. Newman?
Well, he's also 6'5", 310. So there's another guy with great size. He plays tackle. He's going to play guard. So he's going to really complement that line with Elton Jenkins. And, you can really move him around offensive guard, offensive tackle, which I think is going to be nice. And another thing I want to add, Jordan, I want to shout out my boy in the 98th pick, round two. The Broncos selected Quinn Miners out of UW
There he
Whitewater.
is.
That's our boy. And my Valor's kids, they're happy. They were celebrating when they saw Quinn Miners got drafted because we love Quinn Miners on Instagram. He is an absolute stud. Wish the Packers could have gotten him, but hey, we'll take Josh Myers and Royce Newman. I mean, those guys are also going to be great additions, and I'm not complaining one bit. Those first four picks, A+ for me.
Yeah, I can't complain at all. And obviously, we're not talking about the two fifth rounders, two sixth rounders, and a seventh rounder. Breaking news, real quick. I just got a notification that the Brewers put Omar Narvaez on a 10-day IL. So we're going to talk about Brewers in a minute, but that I just saw and it blows my mind. Full disclosure, we're recording this Saturday afternoon, so we're not going to have a Brewers update for a score. We'll get into that in a minute. But first, let's go to college football. Did you have anything else on the draft, or did we want to talk about college real quick?
That's all. Let's go talk college.
Okay, so I don't know how big of a college football fan you are, but I think the college football playoff is great. Four teams, whatever. They've been doing their thing for a while. I always liked it with just one game, but then they did the 14 playoff, and it's fun. You've got all this hype and excitement because it's usually a bunch of undefeated teams going at it. There's an article released earlier this week saying the 12-team college football playoff expansion is building support, and that scares me. First of all, how long is a 12-team playoff going to last? That's going to be a month plus. I mean, because you can only play a game a week in football. I'm not a fan of this at all. If they end up going 12 teams, that's just way too big. I mean, you're going to get 6 SEC teams in there against 4 Big Ten teams. It's not going to be good. I don't think this is going to end well if they do it for 12 teams. Like I said, I don't know how much you followed college football, but 12-team playoffs. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm with you on your take on this because hey, I mean, of course the NCAA is going to want this because that's going to mean more money when we're going to throw 12 teams in it. We're going to be able to have more games. That's going to be more money. I don't know how they would set it up either. There'd have to be certain teams get buys. There'd be some playing games. There would be a lot of work that have to be done, and I'm surprised that's gaining support because I mean I thought the 14 playoff. That's a pretty good way to do it. I mean, there's always those one or two teams each year that get like snubbed out.
Yeah,
But
5 and
that's
6
that's
usually.
just how it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why eight teams would be a lot too, in my opinion, but it would even be better. Or you could do 6. Like, why not have 1 and 2 get a bye, and then you could figure it out. But of the 28 available spots in the playoffs since 2014, Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and Oklahoma have occupied 20 of those 28. So I think that's one of the main things why they're like, maybe you should get some more teams in it, but I don't know. 12 teams is just way too much, and there would be a lot to figure out with that. I don't think it would end well. And it kind of takes away from some of the other bowl games too, because it just puts all the focus on the playoff games, which seems like it defeats the purpose because college football gets a lot of money from those bowl games. So moving from football to baseball, we're going to talk minor league first. Minor league baseball. Oh yeah, we got something to talk about here before we get to the Brewers. There is a league, the Pioneer League, that instead of extra innings has implemented a quote unquote knockout rule. So extra innings are going to be a home run derby. I absolutely hate this. So what it says is under the rule, each team designates a hitter who receives 5 pitches with the game determined by the most home runs hit. If still tied after the first knockout round, another hitter is selected for a sudden death home run face-off until a winner is declared. So I think after the 5, it's like 1 and 1. So like you hit one, and then if that guy hits a home run, the other guy doesn't, it's over. But you would keep going. Obviously, they're trying to be like penalty kicks for soccer, shoot up for hockey. It's obviously what they're going for here. Knockout rule is what they're calling it in extra innings. They're trying to save the pitcher's arms because they say it's taxing with all these extra inning games. I don't care. This is one of the stupidest rules I've ever heard in my life.
Hey, it's for minor leagues. I'm gonna have a different spin on this, Jordan. As a young fan, I love home runs. Hey, it might be ridiculous, but the Pioneer League, hey, if they want to do it, so be it. I think this would be stupid anywhere near professional sports. Like,
oh yeah, at least we can
league,
agree on that.
This would be horrible. But for minor leagues, like they try to get you, they're trying to draw fans and stuff because I mean it's a business too. And
yeah,
I feel like if this Pioneer League, you say, if they want to attract more fans, if they do something like this, that it just caught our eyes. So I mean, I'd come and watch a game. So I mean, if it's gonna be like used as a strategy like that, I think the pitcher crap. I think it's a bunch of crap that they.
Oh yeah, that doesn't make any sense in the world. Like your minor league pitcher complaining about how many pitches you're throwing and stuff. These are the teams in the Pioneer League: the Billings Mustangs, Boise Hawks, Grand Junction Rockies, Great Fall Voyagers, Idaho Fall Chuckers, Missoula Paddleheads, Ogden Raptors, and Rocky Mountain Vibes. That's one of the dumbest team names I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, I play for the Rocky Mountain Vibes. This league is, like you said, though, it's a minor league. So that's what they're doing. And they are a partner league with the MLB, but They didn't even get approval or anything. They just went ahead and did this, which I thought was bold. But if we ever saw a home run derby instead of extra innings in the pros, I think MLB would lose a ton of fans. And speaking of that, I saw something on Instagram that the NCAA volleyball championship got 863,000 views on ESPN, and a Sunday night baseball game only got like 160,000. So it's a little concerning for baseball, or there's just that many volleyball fans. I don't know. But it's time for our Brewer Talk. Let's get right into it. As I said before, we're recording on Saturday, so we have a little of a dilemma because I thought for sure these Brewers were sucking at first, losing to the Marlins, and then they'd lose to the Dodgers. I would win for the week, but it's still up in the air. Drew said this team is going to go 5-2. And if the Brewers win on Saturday and Sunday, Drew takes a 2-0 lead in our Brewers standings to start the year. But if the Brewers lose just one game, either Saturday or Sunday, or lose them both, obviously, I win and we are tied 1-1 to start the year. So do you think we can sweep the Dodgers is the question at this point.
Well, what I've seen so far, I've just seen nothing but magic happen. When you have 15 people on the IL right now, and that includes Omar Narvaez, which is the most in the majors by like 4 guys. I think you win the first 2 out against LA. I think you can certainly sweep the series. You got Woodruff going on Saturday, and then I believe tomorrow or on Sunday. I believe Sunday's up in the air now with Burns on the
Yeah.
IL as well.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens there. But I think there's certainly a shot they could do this, because we've seen people step up, which we've talked about the depth again. It's that depth, and what we said at the start of the year, where we criticized like the JBJ signing, we said there are too many outfielders, and now, of course, we were wrong. We always
we
are.
need them.
And yeah, look at this. He had the 2-run home run on Friday to win the game, and
Unbelievable.
it's just been pitching and defense how we're winning. I mean, there's been some big hits. Shaw had that big home run against Bauer on Thursday. And I don't know, I just think it's been incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we're beating every team by 1 run this week. So obviously by now it's Monday. We'll know if they swept the Dodgers or not. But on Tuesday, we beat the Marlins 5-4. Thursday, we beat the Dodgers 2-1. And then Friday, we beat the Dodgers 3-1. So, I mean, these are all close games. Like you said, pitching, defense, that's what's keeping us in these games because we're getting lucky with one batter here, there that ends up hitting a home run. Speaking of, let's go over some stats real quick. Travis Shaw leads the way, 4 home runs. I feel like only having 4 home runs, we're how many games into the season? Like almost 30 at this point.
Yep.
And only 4 home runs, a little weak, but whatever. That's all you can do about that. Shaw also leads in batting average, 209, and has the most RBIs with 19. And with RBIs, it's really not even close. Travis Shaw has 19. Narvaez and Urias has 11 RBIs. Wow, I didn't even realize he had that many. And Avisail Garcia has 10 as well. So, I mean, Shaw's the clear leader there. And Omar Narvaez leads with 25 hits for the team. But like we just said, I mean, this team is struggling with injuries. Corbin Burns is going out now on injury, but it's not an actual injury with him. Supposedly that's the rumor, but I don't know. This team is going to look ahead to the future as this week we play the Phillies, which is a fun, interesting matchup. And then Marlins once again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday against the Phillies, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Marlins. We dropped 2 of 3 to the Marlins, which I thought wouldn't happen at all. I expected maybe 1 loss, but we lose 2 out of 3 to them. And then the Phillies, that's an interesting one. Phillies are a good team. It seems like we're doing good against good teams and bad against bad teams, which doesn't make any sense at all. But whatever, that's all we can do. I'm going to say we have a down week. We've been up lately. I'm saying we go 3-4 against the Phillies and Marlins. Yep. 3-4. 3-4 with these 7 games. I mean, some of these guys have got to be getting tired at this point. We're 10 or so days into this without a break. So,
well, I'm gonna go different here. I'm gonna say in Colton Wong we trust. We're going 4-3. He's gonna have another big week.
okay.
He's gonna do great. Eric Lauer's gonna get another start. He's gonna show up again. They're going 4-3. Book it.
Did I see it right that Eric Lauer is 6-0 against the Dodgers in his career? Did you see something like that?
Yep, that was correct. That could have been stat of the week too.
Okay, with the draft and everything, there could have been a lot of stats of the week. So we're not going to bombard you with a bunch of stats, but yeah, that's insane. 6-0 against the Dodgers in his career. We're struggling to find some pitchers to step up. Lauer is one of those who did a tremendous job. Anderson and Lindblom have got to be coming back soon, right? If they're good to go after their 10 days, I'd assume we're getting them both. Yeah. And what about Yelich and Kane? What are our updates on them?
So they went through a simulated game, I believe it was Thursday, and their status they've been trending up. They should be back during that Phillies series, is what I've heard. But again, who knows? We'll see
Hmm.
what happens if they're back in that 4-game Phillies. It's going to help me for my 4-3 record, hopefully, or better.
Hopefully.
But
Yeah,
we'll
we
see.
obviously we want him to do good. I'm just predicting what I think is going to happen because also something to take in consideration, this team never really has gotten into a rhythm because it's just swapping out guys left and right. This guy's getting hurt, this guy's not going. Obviously, Craig Counsell changes his lineup, but basically every day it's something else. So this team, I feel like that's something too. You got to kind of consider that you got to get into a rhythm and you have to win when it matters. So sure, we're 16-10 as of this recording, but come September, let's see how we're doing. Hopefully, we're still trending well and we're way atop the Central, but it's just something to keep an eye on because who knows what could happen. Baseball is a long, long game. There's a lot of games left to be played against good teams. We still haven't even played the Cardinals or Reds. So we've got more division guys coming up soon. Shifting gears to our final thing, we have to talk about Manitowoc Lincoln, 14-29. They lose against Green Bay Preble, 14 points, most they've put up all year. This was beautiful. I didn't watch the whole game, but to see the Ships put up 14 points, only losing by 15, which honestly is not bad at all for this team. And because of that, they get to host a game this week, the second round of the, I don't want to call them playoffs, but the whatever they're calling them for the WIAA. I feel like the name changes every week. They're getting to host Green Bay East. So I did a little research. Green Bay East is a team that has a win. So I found this very intriguing. And the Ships technically have a win, but that win was by forfeit over Green Bay Southwest. Green Bay East here actually has a win on the year. They beat Green Bay West, who doesn't have a win. That was a good game, 15-14. East beats West. Gets confusing with all these Sheboygan North, Oshkosh North, Appleton North, a lot of North, a lot of East, a lot of West. But Ships are playing Green Bay East this week at home. Lincoln is able to host this game. And Drew, do you think the Ships are going to get their first real win of the year against a team who only has one win on the year? And that win was by 1 point.
Okay, before I answer that question, how do they get a host a game when they lose by 15?
Well, that's it. Okay. Green Bay East lost to Appleton West 56-14 this past week. Just keep that in mind. I think there was a little politics involved, maybe potentially, because Green Bay East also had to forfeit 2 games. They had to forfeit to Oshkosh North and Appleton West. It's like maybe
Okay.
it's one of the, and they lost to Sheboygan South 57-7.
All
So
right. So
I
I'm
don't know
I'm
for
gonna
sure
say
how they get to host this game, but they do.
I'm gonna say this Ships team. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna win this, Jordan. I'm sorry. I don't see it. I think maybe they
No.
put up a good fight. It's just I
Uh-huh.
watched that Ships team. I know, granted, I watched them play great teams like Fond du Lac and I think West of here I might have watched, but like I I just don't see it. And it's been a tough year for the Ships. They really haven't been able to get anything going offensively. They've gotten some pick sixes, I know, on defense. Like the defense has stepped up as of late, which is kind of great to see. But I just don't see it unless the offense gets some momentum. They get some good drives going. I don't think they're gonna win.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm saying they have a little momentum. They scored 14 points this past week. I don't know exactly how those were scored, but it's one of those things like they have 14 points. They get to host the final game of the year. They originally they were supposed to play Sheboygan South on Friday, but that game got canceled. So then they ended up getting stuck with Preble. So I think you also have to take that into consideration, like when that game was canceled, how much film they had for Preble and how much prepared they got to get. They only lost by 15. You're saying they lose. I'm not going against you. I'm just saying they have more of a chance this week than they ever have. And we're going
Yes.
to leave it at that, as it is time for some trivia. But it's not the trivia you're thinking. This is a bonus surprise edition of trivia. It's not grab egg. This is NFL Draft 2021 trivia. We are going to get at it. I brought up these 5 questions very recently, and we are excited. Drew, you are not ready for this, but
Oh no.
let's get right into it. Okay, the only reason I did this is because when we have season 1 of trivia done now, there will be 50 questions. So it's a nice even number. I didn't want to end the quote unquote season on 45. We're doing a solid 50. And after this, we're going to go over what's to come in season 2 of trivia. I put that together this past week. I am looking forward to it. We got a whole new wheel coming up Next week will be a grab bag for trivia, depending on if we have an interview or not. Grab bag could be in a week or two, but first comes this NFL Draft 2021 trivia. First question. When was the last time quarterbacks were selected at number 1, number 2, and number 3? Was it 1989, 1999, or 2005?
Can you read my answers or my possible answers again?
1989, 1999, or 2005?
You know what? We're going to go 1999.
That is correct. You got it right. 1999. If you watched the draft, they did indeed say that. And I was like, oh, that's a good little thing for some trivia. So we got that in. 1999 it was. Next question. The first wide receiver selected was...
Oh, you're asking me like right now? It was Jamar Chase.
That is how trivia works. Yep.
Let's go.
Jamar Chase, you said?
Yep.
I'll give it to you. That is correct. What do you mean you're asking me? Have you ever played trivia?
Oh, I thought you were going to list me some options of like the first ever one.
No.
Like
no,
last week.
I only list options for some of them, not all of them.
Ooh.
Next question. I tried to word this as good as I could. The Chicago Bears traded up in the draft this year. True or false? Let me reread. True or false? Their first... Oh, I worded it wrong on here. That's why it's so confusing. Their first round pick for next year was one of the things included. So I can reread it if you need me to.
I think I understand the question. I'm going to say false.
It is true. The Bears gave up their first round pick next year to trade up in the first round this year.
Ooh.
Incorrect. Next question. Little tricky if you don't know your knowledge here. The Green Bay Packers selected a cornerback who came from what college?
Georgia.
That is correct. I mean, it was Packers trivia. I figured you'd be able to get that one. Can you get this one? You're going to have to pull this number out of somewhere. How many defensive players were selected before Mac Jones?
Ooh, let's think. Corner. Linebacker. I'm going to say 4.
4? It's 3.
3. Oh, I had it. I just added one more.
You listed 3, and then you said
2
4.
corners and Micah Parsons. Yep.
J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, and Micah Parsons. 3 of 5 this week on the trivia. Could have been 4 or 5, honestly. You screwed yourself over there at the end. You had it right. So that is that. I don't have your overall record. We'll talk about it next week or the week after. One of the two. We'll figure it out. Series 2, Season 2, whatever we want to call it, of trivia. Let's go over what the categories are going to be. This trivia, it's a little out there, but there's some good stuff on here. Are you ready? The 5 categories. The first category, sports balls. That's right. That is the name of a category. The second, video game cover athletes.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. The third, all-time MLB statistics. We did all-time NBA statistics. Now we're doing all-time MLB statistics. We did NFL MVP winners. Now we're going to do NBA MVP winners. And then, of course, we've got grab bag to finish things off. Those are the 5. What's sticking out to you for Series 2 of trivia?
I'm looking forward to NBA MVPs. Might be a weird one to be looking forward for, but I think I could get 5 out of 5 on that. I'm feeling right now.
Really?
Yeah,
that's a
I feel very
bold claim, and we'll leave it at that. As that wraps things up, episode 8 in the books. Thank you all for joining us here for our NFL draft recap. I think we did our best to talk about it all. We got some other things in as well. We're all about variety on this show. We don't just want to talk about one thing. We want to get it all involved. Obviously, we talk about the Brewers every week, but that's our thing. I mean, we're good at that. And we got our predictions challenge going along with that. So, Drew, did we even shout ourselves out last week? I don't know if we said our Twitter or Instagram or anything.
Well, last week was a crazy episode, as we all know.
Yes.
So I don't know if we did, but let's shout ourselves out right now.
You can go for it. You Snap, first.
Drew Skyberg. That's it. And what do we got for Jordan?
I am on Twitter at JordanLaw_PXP. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll get to know who won the predictions challenge for the week. You'll know basically a week in advance because I'll either tweet it out Saturday night, Sunday night, which is days ago at this point. So, I mean, you got to follow me on the Twitter to get all the inside scoops and stuff. Thank you all for joining us this week. Don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Leave those 5-star reviews. really help us out a lot. Thank you all for listening to episode 8 of Jordan and Drew, the Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.